Hello, class. This is your Quiz 1 review covering chapters 1 and 9. Understanding oneself sexually and having interpersonal skills and integrity are two characteristics of sexual intelligence. Other aspects involve scientific knowledge and consideration of the cultural context of sexuality. In ancient China, blank actively promoted sexual activity, including oral sex, sensual touching, and intercourse, as a means to spiritual growth and harmony, in addition to procreation. That is Taoism. The sexual connection of a man and a woman during intercourse was believed to join the opposing energies of yin, representing female, and yang, representing male, thereby balancing the essence of the two energies individually. To conserve yang, men were encouraged to ejaculate infrequently. To generate more yin, female orgasms were pursued. Our Sexuality, the required text, takes a blank approach, reflecting the author's view that psychological factors and social conditioning have a crucial impact on sexual attitudes, values, and behaviors. We're looking for psychosocial. In blank, circa 2500 before Christ era, the earliest known sex manuals, called Kama Sutra, were discovered. And that occurred in China. According to some researchers, philosopher Vatsyayana wrote the Kama Sutra, which consists of 7 books focusing on love, pleasure, relationships, and life. Contrary to beliefs, the books dedicate only one chapter to sexual techniques and positions. Calling a woman a slut to humiliate, intimidate, and degrade her for sexual behaviors that cross the line of acceptable sexual activity is termed slut shaming. Both sexes engage in slut shaming. Slut shaming occurs to express contempt towards a woman, or a woman might use it to exempt themselves from being targeted. This term is one explanation for a man's inability to maintain sexual arousal within committed, loving relationships. That's the Madonna whore complex. Women's sexuality was polarized between Madonna, which you see on the left, and Eve, which you see on the right. Madonna, a virgin; Eve, an evil temptress. Eve represents disobedience that leads to the fall, and Mary represents obedience that opens the way to salvation. Research about the sexuality of women during the blank blank found that the majority experienced sexual desire and orgasm. That's the Victorian era. Researchers Celia Mosher conducted the only known study on female sexuality in the Victorian era. Over 30 years, she surveyed 47 married women through questionnaires. This term describes the dominant image of Black womanhood. The Black male complement was the stereotype of the highly sexual, potentially violent buck. The term we're looking for is Jezebel. The euphemism Jezebel describes a treacherous seductress with an insatiable sexual appetite. Slaves had no right over their bodies, nor had agency over how they were viewed, which greatly influenced or justified poor treatment by whites. One man having multiple wives at the same time is termed blank. However, when a woman has multiple husbands, it is termed polyandry. The term is polygamy. Polygamy is most commonly practiced in West and Central Africa. where it is deeply embedded in the culture. In many countries within the Middle East and North Africa, polygamy is legally recognized, although it is practiced far less frequently compared to Africa. In contrast, polygamy is strictly illegal in the United States and in most Western countries. Independent women of the 1920s who fashioned this clothing style, which expressed women's rejection of Victorian moral standards, were referred to as flappers. Any sexually arousing activity that precedes intercourse is referred to as foreplay. Lisa Diamond describes the variability in same-sex and other sex attraction and involvement at different times and different situations throughout the lifespan as sexual fluidity. This term describes individuals who are sexually, emotionally, and socially attracted to other same-sex loving individuals. That is homosexuality. Homosexuality also includes social and political concerns related to homosexual orientation. The frame of thought that young people are seduced and turned by older homosexual people is the seduction myth. Contrary to these myths, research indicates that sexual orientation is most often established before school age, and that most homosexual people have their first sexual experience with someone close to their age. Also, most gays and lesbians were aware of their attraction before their first sexual experience. This spectrum is related to adult same-gender sexual orientation for both males and females. That is gender nonconformity. It is also referred to as gender expansive or gender variant. The famous police raid on gay bar patrons that resulted in a 3-day riot. It is also the symbolic birth of gay activism, and it's being celebrated this month. That is the Stonewall incident. The Stonewall riots began June 28th, 1969, when police raided the Stonewall Inn. Patrons, many of whom were among the era's most marginalized LGBTQ plus people, resisted the raid, and the confrontation quickly escalated into, I said 3-day, it's actually a 6-day protest in the surrounding streets. The uprising marked a major shift from quiet assimilation focused activism to open collective resistance, and is widely recognized as the catalyst for the modern LGBTQ plus rights movement, including the first Pride marches held the following year. So the marches started in 1970, started on June 28th, and lasted for 6 days, not 3 days. Okay. A type of therapy to help homosexual clients cope with negative societal attitudes, that is gay affirmative therapy. Being gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, or gender diverse is normal, healthy, and part of human variation. It's not something to fix. I'm reading this, and then you can tell that I'm reading it, but in essence, I'm sharing with you that it's not something to fix. Okay. Also, this is referred to as LGBTQ plus affirmative therapy. The belief that heterosexuality is superior to a gay, lesbian, or bisexual orientation describes heterosexism. The process of becoming aware and disclosing one's gay, lesbian, or bisexual identity is known as coming out. Individuals who are primarily heterosexual and have some degree of sexual interest in and or experience with same sex are referred to as heteroflexible. Heteroflexibility is similar but distinct from the terms bicurious and bisexual. Presenting a false image of being heterosexual describes passing. A person who finds intelligence to be the most sexually attractive feature in others could be termed sapiosexual. Some refer to sapiosexuality as an orientation, while others view it as a preference. Irrational fears of homosexuality, the fear of the possibility of homosexuality in oneself, or loathing towards one's homosexuality describes homophobia. Beliefs that reflect the notion that homosexuality is a default choice for people who have not had satisfactory heterosexual experiences and relationships is the by default myth. This myth frames homosexuality as a fallback choice, reflected in statements such as, all lesbians need is a good lay, or he just needs to find the right woman. Okay. The extra credit question is from the reference material, a partial list of sexual orientations. So please, I'd like you to review all of the reference material, but focus in on the list of sexual orientations because that's what the question will be based on. If you have questions, I will be in my office when you all are taking the exam. Or if you have questions before that, just let me know and I will respond accordingly. All right, good luck, and I will be talking to you all online.